Excellent. In that section with the misconception number one, you start talking about the differences in the processes of creating synthetic vitamin supplements versus naturally occurring supplements. It'd be great for you to share, a little bit just about that.
Well, again, 92% of the supplements on the market globally, certainly here in the United States, are chemicals. They come from laboratories and chemical factories. Most of them are the pharmaceutical industry or wings or offshoots of the pharmaceutical industry that produce them. As an example, most are made of petrochemicals, oil products, and the best example, we can go right back to B vitamins again. They make B6 out of coal tar. Now, any of you listening to me now on the radio in your automobile, you're driving on the top of coal tar. That's what they make B6 out of. Now, versus how they would make B6 in a natural way, they would have to find a plant that had the B vitamins in it. They would then, with water, a very gentle process, exhume or extract out of that plant the B vitamins, which, by the way, when you take it from a whole natural source like that, B6 or B1 or B2 or B3 are not isolated and solo acts. They symbiotically work together in a symphony. So you would listen to the London Symphony playing a piece from Mozart versus, a kid who just picked up the guitar yesterday and is playing hard rock music. And so when you extract it out with water like that, without heating it, without processing it, without killing it, it then gets into the body with a symphonic approach, all of the violin section, all of the horn section, all of the percussion section, the piano, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the body relates to that and can digest it. Whereas when you place in the body a chemical isolated nutrient, like from coal tar or some other petrochemical process, the body's immune system looks at it and says, who are you? And because this isolated chemical cannot respond correctly, the immune system literally goes and attacks it. Now, this is how you get sick from taking these chemical supplements. And by the way, what I'm telling you today in total is not my opinion. It's scientifically factual. And I will debate anyone at any organization, any institution, any university in the world, and I will win the debate on supplementation. We have a flawed foundation when it comes to supplements. The same paradigm we have from pharmaceutical thinking is the same exact paradigm that we have in supplementation. We use supplements in an orthomolecular way as medicines. And somehow with our arrogance and lack of intelligence and consciousness in science, in most of the biological sciences and the scientists who operate those sciences, we literally think we know as much as God and nature, and that we have an infinite ability to create in a man-made laboratory with chemical processes, like I've just mentioned to you, something that mimics nature 100%. Now, that's a bizarre thought to begin with. And if I were to ask a high school educated person, basically, if that made sense to them, they would say no. But somehow it makes sense to our doctors and PhDs because arrogance is what reigns, that they literally think they have figured out everything nature has to offer, which is bizarre in the mere fact that anyone's alive long enough and working in the field of nutrition, we discover new things on a weekly basis. So how can we be so callous that we discover the very first supplement, Fletcher, in London in 1905, out of a whole food, and by 1933 create the very first chemical process, and that's vitamin C, ascorbic acid. So what was that? 28 years? It took us 28 years to do that. Now, why did we do that? Money. Listen closely. Money. If I have to go out every single year and collect with human hands whole plant foods and bring them in to a whole food processing plant that may take 2 or 3 days of laborious labor to water extract, to make sure it's not heated or chemicalized or bonded in any way as we do the Hippocrates Life Gives supplements, it costs a lot of money. And by the way, every single year those human hands cost more money to fund to go out and pick the plants. So by 1933, Merck of Germany, a pharmaceutical company, knew the future of supplementation, knew that this was going to be another wing of the pharmaceutical industry, big pharma, and said, okay, we don't want to do that. So let's go in with our arrogance to laboratories, get our young upshoot scientists to find what we can about, in the case of vitamin C, vitamin C. Now, when they made vitamin C ascorbic acid, what they did is leave behind 7/8 of vitamin C, because it's only 1/8 ascorbic acid of whole food vitamin C. And when you put that ascorbic acid in your body, and certainly if you've been to these holistic type doctors who don't know their head from a hole in the ground, who gave you thousands and thousands of milligrams of this IV, your immune system freaks out and says, oh my God, we've got to get rid of this highly acid, highly chemical substance. So now what you think is helping you, and especially it's so heart-wrenching when I hear them say this helps you with cancer, your body is going to be weakened and your cancer will have a greater opportunity to grow, since now the immune system is over there getting rid of ascorbic acid rather than whole food vitamin C. If in fact you put whole food varieties of vitamin C, or ate a rosehip, or Acerella cherry, you would be getting all of the whole food vitamin C you need, taking a supplement like Hippocrates make or other ethical companies make, and there's 8% of us in this industry that do make ethical supplements. Then your body's going to say, wow, that's great. It's going to put muscles on my immune system cells. It's going to make my red blood cells stronger, so that when I have muscles and strength in my cells, when the free radicals come to kill me, and that's how all aging and premature aging and disease, every single disease occurs, is free radical damage, my cell's going to have the muscle to punch it and say, hey, I'm not going to die. And that's called what? That's called antioxidant effect, that Dr. Harmon at the University of Nebraska, which, by the way, happens to be one of the great schools of scientific medicine and biology and nutrition, in 1954 discovered. And that's the antioxidant free radical that, by the way, he was right in 1954. And, by the way, what you need to do is take whole food vitamin C to get the benefit, not an isolated chemical. 98% of all vitamin C on the market is a chemical called ascorbic acid.